The people, the headlines, the issues impacting you and your family. This week in Cincinnati on 9 on Your Side.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Cincinnati. I'm Craig McKee. The scars of war are not always obvious. More and more veterans are turning to drugs or of one kind or another, even alcohol, to cope with what they've been through. And it's becoming even more of an issue for vets of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Department of Veterans Affairs says more than 20% of vets with post-traumatic stress disorder also have a substance use disorder, and about 10% of Iraq and Afghanistan vets treated by the VA have a problem with drugs or alcohol. But there are groups here in the tri-state working to help those men and women in our community. One of them is Joseph House, and joining me now, it's Executive Director Nate Pelletier and Associate Director Mark Levine. Thank you both for joining us on this day. Obviously a very serious situation in our community, and many people may not realize that it's kind of assumed, at least to many civilians that I've spoken to, I'm a military vet as well, they assume that when somebody gets out of the service, there's automatic assistance and help for them, but that's not always the case.
Correct. Yeah, I will take that. It's a system I think that nationally we're working on very hard to fix, knowing that a lot of the challenges with the population that we're dealing with is way before their service, but that we want to make sure when they're coming out of the service, if they have challenges to reintegration, whether it be employment, income, or in our case, when they're doing mental health and addiction, that we can catch them early in the system and that we can get them into our program to make sure to get them back on their feet before many more problems would occur down the road.
And Mark, we spoke the other day in a piece that we're going to be airing this next week, and you had spoken to me about the fact that more and more veterans don't have those VA benefits when they get out, and that is a major hurdle.
Absolutely. So we're seeing more and more people with what's called an other than honorable discharge, so they don't have access to the VA medical system. So those people have a greater challenge because they're certainly just as high risk of having post-traumatic stress disorder as the ones that are eligible. And it makes it a lot more difficult to find the resources. They're there, but for them it's a lot harder to access that. And even the ones that have VA benefits, the people that are needing Suboxone right now, there's just not enough doctors at the VA to be able to handle the load. So even the people that have benefits right now are being forced to go outside the system to try to scramble to find the medication they need to help them stay on track.
And part of the issue, I mean, obviously the VA does a lot of great things for our veterans, despite having a number of investigations and being held accountable for some of the things that have gone wrong. One of the veterans we speak to in the piece this next week actually said that he went to the VA for help. He was given a bunch of pills for his problem, and it only hurt him in the long run because he just continued his drug use and it didn't really get the help he needed. How do you solve that problem as an agency there for homeless vets and who may be fighting a substance abuse issue to self-medicate instead of getting the help they need?
Yeah, I think I'll just, 2 points, and then Mark has, I'm sure, more to input in that. You know, locally, our VA certainly has gone through a lot of transformation to respond to the challenges in Washington, D.C., and have been a tremendous partner of ours. And a lot of it is not intending to do the wrong thing, it's just a knowledge base. It's understanding of what the consequences can be and just being educated on, you know, what does that actual veteran need and how is the medication they're going to that's going to be administered them going to help them or potentially hurt them. And that's why it's important to partner with those that are particularly getting medication, as Mark had mentioned, Suboxone, others in methadone, whatever that might be in a treatment program like ours, that we have a joint relationship and talk about how they manage that medication. And it's something that Mark has worked on quite a bit to build those relationships. So.
Right. So let's be clear, the VA has a lot of good people that are working there, not enough of them is their problem right now. But as far as the medication issue goes, so it depends, of course, on the substance of the problem, what they have. And a lot of these guys are going to have a co-occurring mental health issue. So whether that be PTSD, which an awful lot of them do, or it might be something like bipolar or depression. And sometimes medication is certainly indicated. When sometimes someone's been using drugs for a long period of time, it's very difficult to be able to distinguish what is the mental health problem and what is actually the problem related to the drugs and alcohol, even after they've stopped. And so it takes a while to figure that out. So the therapy piece is extremely important, and if somebody is using an opiate or heroin drug, then getting some kind of medical assisted treatment is going to be crucial, and combining the two of those, Greg, is what is really needed to achieve success.
I think one thing that's interesting about Joseph House compared to some other programs in our community is this isn't a 30-day program and you're out, back out on the streets, see you later. This is a however long you really need for us to get you back on your feet and be successful in life type program.
Sure.
Right, because the brain doesn't heal in 30 days just because the insurance companies want them to heal in 30 days. It takes a long time. So we give them the opportunity to be able to go through a structured program for about 3 months, and then we have really our own aftercare at Joseph House. So they're staying there in a supportive environment with other veterans, and they can go to work and then they come back and they have meetings they go to, and the camaraderie there, as well as continue to meet with their counselor and case manager and do some group work.
Right. If I could add, and part of that too is backing up when, in 2013, 2014, we sat down, Mark, myself, and the other leaders, and we said, we need to respond to this. What do we need to learn? And a lot about it is learning. A lot of people in this space, they continue to do the same thing all the time.
Right.
And when you realize that you have your challenges that maybe you can't respond to, you have to sit back and how do you apply new systems of thought, reassess your program. And credit to Mark and the team, we sat down and we said, what can we do better and how does that affect our program? And we went from a roughly 2 to 3 month program, which was just focusing to getting into the sobriety aspect. But Mark had introduced, and Keith McGuire, our other director, and others had introduced the idea of, well, here's all the other implications. And a big data point to me that stuck, not being a clinician, was the length of time it takes to get a long-term, sustainable, exponentially sustainable outcome. It took about 12 months. Building within that framework is how we decided, and what does it take to build a program to do that? Slow is smooth, smooth is fast, and to make sure that they don't come back to the program.
There are roughly, and we have just about a minute left, approximately 1,300, give or take, homeless veterans in our community. Different levels of homelessness, they come through your system, but that number is drastically down from years past, which I would assume partially with the success of Joseph House and other agencies in our community. So moving forward, what's the future? How do you continue to tackle this issue?
It's not about homelessness. It really is. I think when you're trying to solve a problem, sometimes we solve we have to look at root cause and what is actually the root cause problem. Homelessness is a byproduct. Sometimes people are even choosing to be homeless and we can't even get them off the street. But for our population, homelessness is not necessarily directly their problem. It's the mental health, it's the societal reintegration, it's obviously the addiction piece that we work and how that all works together in co-occurring in ways that leads to them being homeless and not having a job. So for us, what we need to do is aware who is our customer and what is their need, and to understand what the root cause and how we can mobilize around that to serve them.
A very serious issue, obviously, in our community. And if you happen to be a veteran or if you're a family member of a veteran, you can reach out. Folks at Joseph House can help family members deal with these issues as well, so everyone can heal together. Thank you both for being here today. And I've just tweeted out a link, by the way, to Joseph House. Go to 9 on your side, WCPO.com, hashtag Scene on 9. So it's WCPO.com/Scene on 9. I knew I'd get it out eventually. Anyway, I've tweeted out the information for you right now. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.